You're listening to The Secrets of Star Trek, where we discuss the hidden layers and deeper meanings found in all the Star Trek TV series, movies, and more. And today we're discussing the animated episode, The Eye of the Beholder. I'm Dom Bettinelli, and joining me today on the panel are Father Jason Tyler. Hey, Father.
Hello.
And Jimmy Aiken. Hey, Jimmy.
Howdy, Dom.
Folks, be sure to stick around to the end of the episode. We have more of your excellent listener feedback. We love getting your feedback, so please send it in. Comments on videos, emails, that sort of thing. We'll give you all the details at the end. And also remember to like The Secrets of Star Trek on Facebook. We're at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, and you can retweet us on X, where we're at SQPN. Leave us comments on those social networks as well. And that brings us to our discussion today. Jimmy, can you give us a recap of The Eye of the Beholder?
This week, the Enterprise comes to a planet to search for the crew of another ship that visited it. Kirk, Spock, and McCoy beam down and encounter a bewildering variety of dangerous life forms and habitats. Realizing that the planet has been terraformed and seeded with life forms from other planets, they discover that the ones who did this are giant, super-intelligent, telepathic red elephant slugs. The elephant slugs are as far advanced beyond us as we are beyond an ant colony. They put Kirk, Spock, and McCoy in a zoo where they find 3 survivors from the crew of the other ship, but they have trouble communicating with the giant red elephant slugs. They eventually realize that they can think about what they need the elephant slugs to give them, and they use this to get a communicator back. Kirk gets Scotty on the phone and orders an emergency beam out, but a baby elephant slug grabs the communicator and gets beamed up instead. On board the Enterprise, the baby elephant slug learns all about the starship, and Mr. Scott somehow convinces the elephant slug that he's not a pet. They then beam back down, and the baby elephant slug convinces the adults that the humans should be let go. Their final message is that we'll be welcome to come back once we've caught up with them in 20 or 30,000 years. The end.
So, Father, what'd you think of this one?
A pretty good episode. You know, it seems like we've had other instances of our heroes being kept in a zoo or on display or something like that, but
even in a cage.
That's right.
From the beginning.
But you know, one thing I like here is that it's sort of a slow reveal that they're in a zoo. You know, first it's like, oh, these ecosystems shouldn't be existing so close together, and the water's too pure, almost too good to be true. And then eventually we see the force fields and recognize that okay, they're in a zoo in a sense. And you know, and again, the whole idea of aliens that are so far advanced beyond us, we see that in other forms too. But still, overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode.
How about you, Jimmy?
I thought it was fine. It's pretty basic. I detected some evidence of, even though it's just like 21 minutes long, of padding in it. Mm-hmm. And I also detected what I think may be editing mistakes not in the film editing, but in the script editing, because when they first show up, they don't clearly establish what happened to this other ship and its crew. They don't see the other ship in orbit. I thought at first that maybe there was a research station and they're searching, because they say they're here to search for a science crew of 6. And I thought, well, they're not talking about another ship. Maybe there's a research station on the planet. And that's clearly not the case when they get down there. And they much later in the episode, several minutes into the episode, they mentioned the other ship was called the Ariel. So there was another ship. They just don't mention it or show it at the beginning when they're doing the captain's log setup for the episode.
They briefly mention it goes by fast. It's like a landing party beamed aboard to see if the deserted ship's log and computers could give us any information. But it goes by so quick. You're right. They don't spend any time on it.
They also, I'll trust you on that because that wasn't my experience at the beginning of the episode. But then later, when they finally meet the 3 survivors, there's no explanation of what happened to the 3 who apparently didn't survive. The 3 survivors just say we couldn't reach them in time or something like that. and it's really vague. And it just struck me that there likely was more information in the original draft of the script, and it probably got cut during the revision process.
Yeah.
But it's still an okay episode.
I found it, yeah. I mean, it was okay, kind of forgettable. It's yet another episode where they beam down to a planet and are captured by the aliens. I mean, this seems to be a template in the animated series that, the better episodes are ones where it's not that, but a lot of them seem to center around this idea is we've beamed down to this planet, we're captured by these aliens, and now we have to escape from their control. And it may be because you've got 21 minutes and, with that short of a runtime, you don't have a lot of time to develop more complex plots. And so this is a convenient one. What
I did like in this is the aliens are nicely alien.
Mm-hmm.
Giant, super intelligent, red telepathic elephant slugs is, not what you normally get. This isn't just humans with forehead bumps.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is they're okay aliens. They're basically good. And they have a genuine communication problem, not because they're not because they're alien, but because they're so smart. And so Spock talks about he can get images that they're thinking, but it's all going by too fast for him.
Right.
And I thought that's a nice variation on what we normally get.
Right.
Right.
I actually wrote down super intelligent telepathic pink elephant slug. So I guess we concentrated on different aspects of their coloring, but we were pretty close on our descriptions.
Yeah, the animated series, I think at times said, okay, we're animated, we're not live action, so let's go as alien as we can. Let's do something we can't do on live action, or that would be very expensive to do.
Yeah.
There's also a nice bit of lampshade in at the beginning of the episode because they've established that somebody is beamed down, the science crew had beamed down, and Kirk asks in the briefing room, have we scanned this planet? And they say, well, Mr. Sulu is scanning it, but it's going to take a while for him to get a complete report. And Kirk is like, let's beam down now to the same location as the other people. and McCoy says, Jim, they vanished. Why take the risk? It's like, yeah, don't wait for the scan to complete. Just go barreling down there.
Someone finally said it. Well, there was another line where Kirk says, a captain of all people must follow the book. And I'm like, pot kettle black.
Yeah.
You're the guy who doesn't follow the book. I imagined, what if aliens came to Earth and they beamed down to like Disney's Animal Kingdom, or like, I guess San Diego has a big outdoor zoo with multiple environments. And, that's kind of what this is. They beam down into the middle of the zoo and start wandering around. I can imagine it could go pretty poorly when you encounter the lions and the silverback gorillas and that sort of thing.
That's where the padding in the episode comes in. Once they beam down, they spend, I don't know, half the episode almost just wandering from one environment to another, encountering different monsters. The first is a sea monster. Then they encounter a giant gray land Godzilla, which falls on McCoy and they have to dig him out. And then they encounter these purple sky dragons. And so it's interesting to look at, but it's all pretty, okay, we're going from one thing to another here. We're not really building the plot.
Right. And Jimmy, you mentioned an aspect of it, which is that the aliens weren't hostile. They just didn't understand that we are independent creatures who are intelligent at our own right, in our own level, but they weren't hostile, and they weren't. Yeah. They just wanted to put another creature in their zoo.
One thing, and this also I think leads to one of the flaws in the episode, because they've spent, after they get captured, they spend time in the zoo, which is a sort of human-like environment. It even has buildings.
Yep.
And they apparently got the blueprints from the minds of the 3 humans that they had previously captured. And one of those humans is sick. And it's never really clear with what, but one of the humans is sick. And they all concentrate on McCoy's medical kit to get the elephant slugs to give him the medical kit so he can treat the sick crew woman. And that works out fine. And then they all concentrate on the communicator so that Kirk can call up to the ship and get him beamed out. And then they have the accident with the child. But then, after some antics with the child carrying Scotty around in its trunk up on the ship, he and the elephant slug child beam down again. And they say, what did you do? And Scotty says, well, it read the computer banks and I convinced it I'm not a pet. And I'm going, you off camera convinced it? You resolved the central plot problem in this? And when the adults have been interacting with the humans and they have not realized we're not pets, how did you convince the baby that you're not a pet?
Right.
I made a note of that as well. My only thought is maybe, the baby that went up to the ship sees the humans in their natural habitat, so to speak, rather than in captivity, and that helps to convince them.
That would work, except all those in that same environment is in the minds of the adults that they've already read. So.
Right. Yeah. It's bad writing when you resolve the central problem off screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like that they have the three survivors say that all we've been able to get, the only reaction we've been able to get from the elephant slug so far is a kind of quivering behavior. And we get to see that where they kind of wobble after they try communicating with them. And the elephant slugs are wobbling. And it's at that point, Spock gets the insight telepathically, oh, they're laughing at us. So they're like zoo patrons laughing at the monkey house or something like that. But I like that. That's another nice alien thing, is their equivalent of laughter.
Right.
Right.
At least we're not, humans flinging their poo at them like the monkeys do.
Yeah.
One quibble at the end, one line. When they're beaming up, Kirk says, Kirk Enterprise, prepare to beam aboard 2 parties. All human.
I know. You're leaving Spock? Really?
Hey, what about me? I just want McCoy to say, see ya, Spock.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another, they could have fixed that with one word in the script, all humanoid.
Yeah.
And that might have even been the plan, except they thought, oh, this is for children, we better say human.
Right.
But I think the kids are smart enough to know Mr. Spock ain't a human.
Right.
I think that's another reason why, like, these 3 other science, crew, we never hear about them. What happened to them? Probably they're toning it down for the kids. They probably got eaten by the various other exhibits in the zoo.
Giant gray land Godzilla ate them or something.
Right. But they don't want to come right out and shock the kids on a Saturday morning with that.
Well, then they could have just found 6 survivors instead of 3.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Any other thoughts on this one? I mean, this we could drag
pretty
it out.
Basic.
It's pretty basic. That's the nature of the animated series at this point.
I'd rather spend 21 minutes watching it and 15 minutes talking about it than spend a night in sick bay. I'll tell you anytime.
We are in agreement there.
Yes, indeed.
All right. So if there's nothing more to say about that, let's move on to our...
You haven't turned to Father and me yet for our individual anything else.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought I was kind of opening the floor, but go ahead, Father. Do you have any other notes? Okay.
I don't know. I think we've covered it.
All right. Jimmy, do you have any other notes?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just one, Mr. Spock, based on his telepathic contact with them, learns that they were like us tens of thousands of their centuries ago. And then at the end of the episode, he gets a message saying that we'll be welcome back in 20 to 30 of their centuries. But he's going to need some time to work out how long that is. Okay, so points for communicating to the children that their century is not going to be the same length as ours. That's fine. But I got to deduct points for the fact that figuring out how long one of their centuries is a matter of measuring the orbit of their planet around the star and multiplying by 100. And the orbital mechanics needed to keep the Enterprise around this planet will tell you how long one of their centuries is. And if Mr. Spock didn't realize that, maybe we're not as advanced as them.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. A century is 100 of anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just figure out how long the year is. All right. So that's it for our discussion of the Eye of the Beholder. And let's get to our feedback. This feedback comes on our recent discussion of the Voyager episode Twisted. Our very frequent...
right hand red.
What's that?
Right hand red.
Right hand red. And the
versus Twisted.
Our frequent commenter, truly awesome New Mexico Catholic, wanted to weigh in on this one. He says, thanks for another great discussion. I think I'll have to rewatch this episode because I remember liking it. I think everyone can agree that the jealousy subplot is so dumb. I also agree with Jimmy that they should have leaned into the X-Files aspect. However, I think the base plot of you walk into a room and it's a different room and the feeling of isolation that can evoke is really powerful. Also, I love the end of waiting for inevitable doom. I wish we had more shows or episodes that did this effectively. When they finally ask you guys to write for Trek, please redo this episode, but better.
I'd be glad to. And one of the things about waiting for inevitable doom is you need to actually wait for it, not just have 60 seconds of waiting. Maybe like 5 or 10 minutes of waiting of what are we going to do?
Yeah, an episode where you're literally the episode is about waiting for the end, waiting for doom to hit you, and the discussions and angst and that sort of stuff. That would be interesting. Yeah, and I agree that the base idea of you walk into a room and it's not the room you're supposed to be entering and how disorienting that is not a bad idea. It's just the way they implemented it, the way that the mechanics of the twisted space-time that they did in this just didn't work. It didn't make sense for the end that they got, but the means that to get there just didn't work. I think that was what I was thinking. That might have been our common assessment. Yes, and when they ask us to write a Trek episode, we'll do Twisted but better. And then our next feedback comes from Lord Wife on YouTube, who writes,
Another
Voyager is my guilty pleasure show. I know there is better Trek, but I love it anyway. Mm-hmm. I think for me, I have guilty pleasure shows, so I can see that. Yep. All right, so that's our feedback, and now we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create The Secrets of Star Trek, including Sean N., David B., Jordana A., Jason E., and Ricky T. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue The Secrets of Star Trek and all the shows at StarQuest, and you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So, that's it from us this time. What did you think of The Eye of the Beholder? You can let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/trek, our Facebook page at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, send an email to trek@sqpn.com, or visit our Discord community at sqpn.com/discord, or you can watch The Secrets of Star Trek on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/StarQuestMedia. We'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the Next Generation episode, Home Soil.
Okay. Ugly bag of mostly water.
Yes, back to the early seasons. Until then, Father Jason Tyler, thank you for joining me and sharing The Secrets of Star Trek.
Thanks, Dom.
And Jimmy Aiken, thank you as well.
Thank you. Live long and prosper. And now I have to go calculate how long one of your human centuries is.
He's revealed it again, folks. And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Star Trek on StarQuest. And remember, we are considered simplistic, but in the process of evolving into a higher order.